Did you learn anything from that?
Yes, I learned how mean some of you all can be. But, you know, tonight, as we go through, I'm gonna read a little thing. In the prayer tonight, we lost a former city employee that was with us for years. He worked for the city for 34 years. And for our sports enthusiasts, he was extremely active in youth sports and looking after kids. It's through Sertoma and baseball. I'm sorry, I don't know that he did that much for football, but it was Bull Torres. And Bull was extremely a dedicated city employee for 34 years, and he belonged to our Sertoma club, and you know, he helped us put together the Sertoma Classic, Colt Classic baseball thing, where we get all the small schools together from around, and we have a baseball tournament for all the small schools for high school baseball. And so as we go, Bull started in the wastewater department at the bottom, and he rose all the way up to the top. And I had the pleasure of serving with him in Sertoma, and I've known Bull and Emma Berger, his wife, for years, and they were really, really good, conscientious citizens of Roswell. So if you don't mind, we'll probably have another thing next month or thing about him. But you know, Bull always had a really good attitude, and he dedicated to work, and he was really community oriented. So if you don't mind today, when we get up and have the prayer, if we could have Councilman Marujo would bless us with the prayer, and Councilman Hildebrand, if you'd bless us with the Pledge of Allegiance. When we get started, I would appreciate it. But just keep Bull and Emma and his family in your prayers today, because he's, you know, he was just always there for kids. You know, he was really a good guy. So, and I'm sure he was all part of the Torres family from Hondo, and anybody who knows, whether it's Martin's Cafe or whatever, the Torres family's been in Roswell for a long time working together. So, okay, if we could, we'll, if the clerk would call the roll.
Counselor Halverson?
Here.
Counselor Marujo?
Here.
Counselor Johnson?
Here.
Counselor Hildebrand?
Present.
Counselor Chapel is absent. Counselor Moore?
Here.
Counselor Cavan?
Here.
Counselor Arnold is absent. Counselor Oropesa?
Here.
Counselor Corn?
Here. That wasn't me. All right. We'll rise for the prayer by Councilor Marujo and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilor Hildebrand.
Father God, we come before you tonight, Father God, and ask for you to bless us through this evening, Father God. We ask you to guide us in our decisions as we go through tonight, Father God. We ask for prayer for the Torres family, Father God, that you give them strength in the situation they've gone through, Father God. We ask for protection over our police officers, our first responders, our fire department, Father God, throughout the state. For all our officials, Father God, statewide, nationwide, and in our city. We give you all the glory and honor. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, as we get going, it's kind of hard not to recognize it everywhere we are today with all the issues we've been through with the flood. I would like to thank everybody who's helped their neighbors and done things to help us all get through this trying time with our flood. I would please, if you know anybody who was affected by the flood, please make sure that they register with FEMA. You have to apply to FEMA to get any benefits. And I call it the 3 A's. You have to apply. And you can do it at the Roswell Mall, or you can do it online if you choose. And we have case managers or whatever you can call, and we'll get those. You know, they, from that time, we had 16 FEMA trucks that came from outside our community. And we had 3 from Carlsbad that came down. 16 were contracted by FEMA. And then we had our own trucks. And Carlsbad sent us 3 FEMA trucks, or grabber trucks. And they sent us a garbage truck and another truck to haul things off. So, and Artesia's been here and to help us with our fire station. Albuquerque's helped. We've really had a lot of help from people, just like we gave Rio Dosa. You know, everybody's been there to help us back. So when you go through a tragedy, we've really been blessed. The last day to sign up for FEMA is January 2nd. So put that on your list. So far, FEMA has given out in housing assistance $7.2 million and 7.7 million in other assistance needs is what they've given to people. It's almost $15 million to 1,600 people. And don't forget that this disaster didn't just hit Roswell. It hammered Dexter and it hammered Hagerman and the highway between Roswell and Artesia. FEMA's done 9,600 home visits. They have registered, they have 75 voluntary nonprofit agencies working. And they have experts at the Home Depot to help you if you have any questions about anything that's there. On the debris removal, they've taken 35,000 yards with the contract carriers. And then we've had about 8,000 yards with our own grapple trucks and things that were taken. So that's over 40,000 yards. If you want to visualize that, that is 7.5 football fields of trash. From their football fields are 53 or 4 feet, yards wide and 100 yards long. And that's 7.5 football fields is how much trash that they've collected. So, you know, it's a lot. We're still working. We're going through it. We're getting everything evaluated. So thank everybody for your help and working with other people. And we have, oh, man, we've got the whole team here today. So we better get going. Okay, item 1, approval of the agenda. Let's see, Councilman Hildebrand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the agenda for the December 12, 2024 regular city council meeting with the following changes. Taking item 19, the minutes for November 21st, November 12, 2024 from the consent agenda to be heard after item 21 and placing item 23 on the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Hildebrand, and a second by Councilor Cavan. Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilor Halverson?
Yes.
Councilor Maduro?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Councilor Hildebrand?
Aye.
Councilor Moore?
Yes.
Councilor Cavan?
Yes.
Councilor Oropesa?
Yes.
Councilor Corn?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay. Okay, we have the agenda done. Now we move for item number 2, Councilman Hildebrand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda as amended for the December 12, 2024 regular city council meeting.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? If the clerk would call the roll.
Counselor Halverson?
Yes.
Counselor Marujo?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Counselor Hildenbrand?
Aye.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Counselor Cavan?
Yes.
Counselor Oropesa?
Yes.
Counselor Corn?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay. Now it's to. Okay. We've approved the consent agenda, now we go to item 21, 20. Yeah, item 20, the new Bobby lookalike.
Oh.
All right, I'm sorry. Bobby, we have a lot of people at the ICAST Air Show, and that's really a good deal. You better give your update, because I don't want to steal your thunder.
Are you through now?
I'm getting there, but how much longer do you want me to talk? I can go a long time.
I'll start.
You know what I mean?
I'll start.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Jennings and Roswell City Councilors. I'll be updating you this evening on some of the more important Air Center activities. The Airport Advisory Commission held our December meeting on Tuesday, December the 3rd. We had several Air Center tenants in attendance again, and Air Center staff and the city attorney were present. Bobby Thompson, who is not here, but Kunkel is here, provided an update on 7 items that were addressed from our new strategic plan. The only third quarter item of those 7 is now complete. Of the remaining 6 items, 5 are in process, and only 1 item, which is to form a task force to determine how best to leverage airport infrastructure, needs to be better defined to ensure that this mission item can be effective and satisfactorily completed. The master plan, which is being prepared by Lochner Engineering, has been delayed due to a TSA review. It is now expected to be completed by early March 2025. The BLM loading pit construction is due to start in 60 days and should be ready for use before the fire season this coming year. The BLM taxiway construction is awaiting an increased grant amendment from BLM. It will not be completed prior to the coming fire season, and it will likely be completed after the fire season late in 2025. The terminal restroom improvements and the terminal backup generator project have been bid by Molson Corbin Engineering for design, bidding, and construction management. That contract is for $186,050. Mike Provine, who is the president with Molson Corbin, indicated that plans would be completed in 4 months. The AAC encouraged him to speed his process up to 2.5 to 3 months. He stated they would work towards that timetable. Per Don Fisher, our airport security, 946 new badges have been issued to badge holders. This is approximately 85% of the TSA required new badges, which have to be completed per TSA requirements by the 19th of this month. So they're right on target. Don's done a great job of making that happen. Badging, as I said, badging is to be completed by December the 19th. Also, the new course for the air races is scheduled to be flown in mid-January now. Non-operating revenue for the Air Center was $423,947. November expenses were $319,142. Therefore, November net income was a positive $104,804. That's a good thing. Passenger boardings for November 2024 were 5,311 compared to 3,491 in November of 23. The average passenger boardings since May of 24 have been 5,275 per month. The average passenger boardings during the same time frame in 2023 were 3,635 per month. This is an average 45% monthly increase in passenger boardings. 24 compared to 23. This is a significant and pretty consistent passenger boarding increase since May of this year. Of course, in May of this year, we started our third flight between Roswell and DFW. Airport operations have been higher except for April this year. November 2024 had 1,783 operations compared to 1,601 operations in November of 23. Aircraft parking has remained fairly consistent in 2024 from 230 aircraft plus or minus to 240 plus or minus, compared to 220 to 230 plus or minus in 2023. So about a 10 aircraft count difference from 23 to 24. October of this year, we had 227 parked planes compared to 232 parked planes in October of 23. All the other months this year, the number of parked planes has exceeded 2023 parked plane counts. An item of importance at our meeting was the presentation by our consultant, Gary Foss, with ArcStar Consulting. He's under contract to the city to provide services for Roswell reference airline information / availability into the RAC. Passenger boardings in 2024 are up approximately 4% over 23. And of course, we increased, the reason for that is we increased to 3 flights per day from DFW. Our load factor, though, for this August was only 73%. That's the number of people sitting in the seats. 75% is a pretty good load factor. And our load factor prior to the third flight starting in Roswell was 84%. So that's an 11% differential from August of this year to what we had before. And that we need to work on to keep the load factors up. Mrs. Sue Kreitz from El Paso presented at the end of our meeting reference a project that she will personally fund. No city funds are involved. She's an author. While doing research on the 12 Atlas ICBM missile silos that were built around Roswell in the 1960s, she identified that 8 workers were killed during the silo construction. There's not a memorial to indicate anything to that effect. She has proposed that a black granite monument be placed in between the Walker Air Force Base monument and the flagpole in front of the terminal. The AAC will have this item on our January agenda to approve the monument to memorialize the death of these 8 workers. I stand for any questions.
Excuse me just a second. Can you all open the doors in the back so the other people that are outside can at least look in? If you don't mind, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about our chambers being goofed up, but we have a number of people here, so. So questions, yes, Council? Councilman.
I have more of a comment about the memorial. So she wants to hold the ceremony on the Sunday that they died.
Yes,
And she's invited the entire council and the city boys to go.
that's correct.
The 15th?
I've got the date in my notes, but I didn't put it in my presentation.
January, it's in January.
Yeah, it's in January.
I think it's the 15th or the 14th.
And she anticipates apparently having this monument ready by then.
Yeah, I believe the biggest accident they had there was when a crane fell into a hole. They picked up something and you got it too heavy or whatever, but they fell.
That's
The whole
correct.
crane followed everything down the.
Six people were killed that day. Yeah.
I mean, that was the worst accident we had there at that time. Okay, any further questions or comments? Bud, thank you very much. Bobby's a lot cuter than you are, but that's all right. We're glad to have you here. There's one other thing I believe I can say and not cause any problems. To get a professional government, Navy, Army, Navy performance team here, those are done 2 years in advance. And I believe we have already been selected to get the Thunderbirds for our air show in 2026. And so that's a big thing because there are 500 air shows a year and there's about, there's 3 teams and they have about, there's not that many weeks that they perform. I think each team does 30 a year or whatever, so performances. So that's a big deal for us already to get that. So, it's not in 25, next September 10th when it starts to the 14th, but for our air show, but the year after we're already on the where to go list for people. So it's really, really good for us, for Roswell and Roswell Air Races. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate your attention.
Thanks, bud. Now, moving right on to item 21. Wow, anybody who didn't go to the game last Saturday, that's your problem, but it was fantastic. Today we have with us the Roswell High 2024 Class 5A State Football Champions. Coach Lynn? Go.
There he is.
There he
There
is.
it is, All right. You know what? Coach, if you want to come up on this side where you can look at your people, what? Oh, David, you're welcome up here anytime. David, when we look about flood, David's one of those victims of the flood. David had lost more pictures of Roswell kids in action photos in the school system than anything else. He lost his whole library, and it was all taken away in the flood. And when I was out over in the neighborhood where David's house was, who was out there helping people but the Roswell High Coyote football team? And I just gotta thank you guys for that. And David, thank you for all you do. He has the best pictures of anybody in town. And and it's just amazing. But David, thank you for your dedication to our community to show us the bright side. Thank you. I had the pleasure of going to the pep rally at the school, and it was phenomenal. And I have to tell each one of you guys, we are so proud of you. And having kids that went to Roswell High, look, I know what you guys put together was everybody sacrificed their ability to be individuals, and you played as a team. And it was so evident when you were in the stands. It was just phenomenal watching you all play. And I have to tell you, you know, a lot of us know Coach Lynn and his family, and, you know, Coach, thank you. Tell them a little bit about your story about what they told you when you were gonna go to Roswell. That, I never knew all that, but he picked to coach at Roswell High. And this is one of the best stories ever, because every one of these kids here together with the kids proved to the whole darn area, whether you're from Goddard, Artesia, wherever, we can do a lot of things, but we can do whatever we want to do. And I want to thank you all for that can-do attitude where you showed people, you know, Roswell High can do whatever they want to do. So Coach Lynn, I'll give it to you and let you introduce the players if you want, or together, or all, however. You know, I thank you for what you did. Tell us a little of your story though, because it's...
Yeah, I told this story at the pep rally the other day. Like when I first got to Roswell High, I had a Hall of Fame coach tell me that I needed to go talk to the principal because we were never going to be able to beat Goddard. We were never going to be able to beat Artesia, and we would never win a state championship at Roswell High. And and this was a Hall of Fame coach. This is a well-respected coach in the state, and I said okay. And we went about the process of turning our football program around. And I said that yesterday to the kids at Roswell High, because I think it's important that we don't allow people to define you. You know, don't let others' expectations and, you know, what they think you are define who you are. And I think that's super important. You can't listen to the naysayers. You can't listen to the people that doubt you. You have to believe in yourself. And I think that's what this team, you know, is all about, right? There's a lot of kids in here that probably, you know, shouldn't even be sitting in those seats, but they've overcome a lot, and you know, they've been really an inspiration to us and the community. I just wanted to thank you guys for recognizing us. You know, I say this all the time. It takes, when a football team wins, football is the, you know, and this may hurt some people's feelings, but football is the ultimate team game. It's the ultimate American game, right? We're super inclusive. I mean, it takes big kids, you know. It takes small kids. It takes fast kids. It takes kids that can throw. It takes kids that can throw the ball. It takes kids that can kick the ball. Like, it's the most inclusive sport. It's the most, you know, American sport, in my opinion, right? Like, Clayton Kinner's not going to play on the soccer team. Raise your hand, Clayton. Like, he's not going to be on the basketball team, you know. Football and wrestling, that's the only thing he's got, you know, like, and so it brings, you know, and it takes, you know, different races, and I mean, it's the most, you know, a football locker room is the most inclusive place in the world, and it's the most accepting place in the world, and I think it teaches our kids a lot of different things, and so when I say that because, you know, when a football team wins, an entire community wins, right? It takes coaches, it takes players, it takes parents. Like, God bless these parents, man. You know, you got to get them up and you got to drive them to workouts at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning during the summer. It takes administrators, it takes a community. I mean, like, I don't know if, it really helped having 6,000 people at the Wool Bowl for the state championship. I mean, I can credit our crowd for at least 4 penalties on Artesia, right? Because they weren't ready for the crowd noise. I mean, and you think about that, 6,000 people, that's 10% of our community was at that game, you know? And I talked to the people at the NMAA, and, you know, they had the big school game, the Cleveland and La Cueva game, and there was only 30, they sold 6,000 tickets at our game, and they sold 3,800 tickets at the big school game. So, I mean, it takes a community, and we're just super proud of, that we're from Roswell, and I'm super proud of what these kids accomplished, and, you know, it's really inspiring, and I just appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. I would like to bring the kids up and introduce them, if that's all right, and they can shake your hand and all that stuff. So, guys, give me a line right here.
You know, while he's waiting, you know one thing else? Now, if they sold 6,000 tickets in Ross, and 3,800 of them in Albuquerque, why wouldn't the Activities Association play the games in Albuquerque? Wouldn't it make more sense to play them over here?
Let's do it.
Really change a lot of things, Coach.
Yeah, let's do it.
Coach Lynn,
Yes.
let me say one thing real quick.
Okay.
Most of these kids, when I was coaching youth football, these seniors, their last year in youth football, I told plenty of friends, other coaches, this will be a state championship team. And I can tell you, these kids are awesome, great attitude, they're humble, and they're just great with everybody. And some of those kids I want to mention are, of course, going to be Bubba Monroe, Cy Carrasco, Keegan Nichols, Andrew Padilla, Hanson Lucero, A.B. Toscano, Jalen Cloud, Michael Lucero, Gordo Espinosa, Jacob Palomino, Matthew Avitia, and Dominic Pacheco. And I don't think Noah played youth football, and I don't think Mason Greathouse played youth football. And of course, Cam Luna. That year that you guys were last year in youth football, I told everybody this will be a state championship team, and look what happened, state championship team. One thing I do ask, make sure you're thanking your parents. If it wasn't for your parents running you to practice when you were in youth, high school, freshman year, when you couldn't drive, and also thank the coach, whether it's your youth coach, your high school coaches, and then that junior class coming behind these guys, it was gonna be a championship team, coach.
Yeah, I think another thing, I tell people this all the time, like, I don't think people understand the value, and I don't know how much support you guys have of it, but the Roswell Youth Football, the RYFL, I mean, that is a huge deal in our success, man. I would say 90% of those kids, and I'm sure the new not people will argue with me, but from where I sit, that's the best run youth league in our city. They do a great job, and they service a lot of kids, and I don't know what influence you guys have on that as far as funding or whatever. I know they use Stiles Field and that kind of thing, and I'm sure there's some agreements or whatever, but the Roswell Youth Football League is, I've talked to other people around the state, and they don't have that, and that's a big advantage for us. And so if you guys do support that, I would encourage you to continue to support that, because it's like you said, you can see them coming. And again, like I said, we talk about Cam Luna. Cam, we lost Cam as freshman. Like, Cam was probably the best football player when he was a freshman at Roswell High. And we lost him to some gun violence here in town. And, I tell people all the time, idle hands are the devil's playground. And I appreciate what you guys did with the activity center, building that new place for kids to have an opportunity to go play. But I really believe that, activities and sports and FFA and band and I say this all the time, kids are looking for a game, right? We're looking for a game. And we as the adults can give them the game, right? We can give them football, basketball, band, FFA, art, those things, or they can go find the gang on their own. And usually when they find that gang on their own, it's not a good thing. And I really encourage this group and our city to really support, those youth sports and those youth activities, because again, idle hands are the devil's playground, and we experience that firsthand in our football program. And so I appreciate the work you guys do, and I know that funding's an issue, but if whatever help you can give those youth sports programs, I think it's well worth the money, and you're seeing the fruits of it. Because raise your hand if you played youth football. Yeah. In the RYFL at Stiles Field. I know you guys maintain Stiles Field, so I mean, you're seeing the fruits of the money that you spend and the support that you give those programs, and so I thank you guys for that as well. So I'm going to introduce the team. You guys come up. If you don't want these guys, shake their hands. Just kind of walk back around, and we'll go right there. We'll go first with Mr. Keegan Nichols, All-State linebacker. Dominic Silva, second team All-State defensive tackle. Avery Toscano, second team All-State running back. Mason Greathouse, first team All-State defensive end. Bubba Marujo, three-sport athlete at Roswell High. State champion powerlifter. Dominic Pacheco, Cam Lewis, best friend. Hayden Rudley, second team All-State defensive end. Noah Lynn, my second favorite player on the team. Gage Gladu, played on the Ducks in the RYFL. Noah Strada, second team All-State tight end. Colby Sanchez, All-State alfalfa baby. Tyler Woshek, team DJ. Joaquin Bolaños, Ruben Bolaños' son, that's his claim to fame. Brendan Duran, he'll be a great player for us next year. Edgar Sotero, great player, junior. Luis Tejada. Dominic Zavala, highest GPA on the team right here. Diego Sanchez. Eli Salazar. Alan Renteria. Logan Hoover. The first female football player to ever play in a varsity football game in Roswell. My third best player on the team, Luke Wynn. Patrick Taline. Hey, Lujan. Shane Shotgun McMahon. Let's play now. Luis Godoy. He's going to be on Telemundo as an actor. As an Aranda. Elias Lujan. Jonathan Ellis. Jake Emador. Francisco Guzman. Brody Martinez. Emmanuel Sanchez. Hey, I want to tell you, when we went out to work in the community, we only went out to work in his house. He was one of the ones that lost everything in the flood. Had water up to his hip in his house, and you know what? He played the JV game that next Thursday and did a great job. Proud of this boy. Christian Orozco. Kyle Williams. Second team, All-State linebacker, Mikey Lucero. Honorable mention, All-State linebacker, Andrew Padilla. First team, All-State center, Matt Lavithia. We got CJ Kenner, not going to play basketball. Isaiah Trujillo. Honorable mention, offensive tackle, Ethan Lopez. Katie Lopez. Jordan Gordo Espinosa. Frankie Lara. Edgar Marquez.
Okay, good job.
Daniel Borrego. Gabriel Lucero.
Great job.
Hector Fuentes. Hector is also, what do you play in the band? The tuba? Yeah, he also plays tuba in the band. Constantino Tarin. Dominic Ghana. Isaiah Avithia.
Great job.
Last but not least, we got Joe Diaz, who's also a member of our band. I got any of my coaches here? Come on up, coaches. You guys can just wave. You don't got to walk up here. I got Coach Billy Hoover. I got Coach Robert Lambato. Coach Jesse Boggs.
Great job. Thanks.
You guys did great.
Thanks for working with our kids.
Good job. Good.
And then my dad, we call him the OG. I'm going to say one thing about my dad. I'm going to brag on him in a minute. With this state championship, my father has won a state championship in 7 straight decades. Wow. Woo! Starting in the 1960s, he won a state championship as a player at Eunice High School, and since then he's either been an assistant coach or a head coach in every decade since. And so that's a pretty cool stat. And super proud of my dad. So we're gonna leave you guys with this, all right? We're gonna leave you guys with this. I need everybody to stand up. We're gonna have a little fun. All right? Here we go. On the count of 3, you know what to do. It's a great day to be a coyote. Let me hear you howl.
Good job, man, you're a pleasure to watch. Thank you.
Now,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Appreciate you.
Let me just say-
Councilman Cavan.
I would tell you that these kids probably love Coach Glenn's dad as much as he does, because I know all these kids love OG, and he is an amazing guy. Talking about the history at the beginning, talking about the family history of the coaches, the Lynn family is absolutely amazing when it comes to coaching our kids. So thank you guys so much for what you do for Roswell, what you do for our kids. Absolutely amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, hey, you know, one of the things when you look about things, I mean, we got a state championship power lifter in here, and he is probably, when he's running, he's probably the slipperiest mouse you've ever tried to step on. I can't tell you how fast he can go and change direction. It's really something. But then, on the other side, just so we're treat people fair, we finally got our first lady firefighter in Roswell, and now we've got our female football player. That's great, and she was out there playing like the rest of them. So it's really good. You know, I'm so glad when everybody gets to get together and recognize each other for your talents. And you know, and if somebody's short on their talents a little bit, it's always nice to have somebody else come help you make it up. And that's exactly what you all did while you won. So I'm gonna tell you, I didn't get to every game this year, but I'm sure it's gonna start next year. I'll be there, and I wanna thank you guys, because it's really a big thing for us. And Coach Lynn, it's your responsibility to go up there in Albuquerque and tell them that, you know, you had 38, we had 6,000. It makes economic sense to come to Roswell. We don't always have to go to Albuquerque, although I know it's twice as far from Albuquerque to Roswell than it is from Roswell to Albuquerque. But you know, we can play the tournaments here, Las Cruces, they don't all have to be in Albuquerque. Come on, you know, it's controlled by the Activities Association, and that's really unfair, you know, when you look at it sometimes. I mean, we're the only city that had a golf coach won the state championship 11 out of 13 times, and is not in the New Mexico Activities Association Hall of Fame, all from right here in Roswell. You know, isn't that crazy? 11 out of 13 years?
Crazy. So, well, I'll work on both those things.
Okay, that's good. See what a positive attitude can do? Thank you all for coming and your families. Oh, man, it made my heart good to watch that game. And you beat our T-shirt twice.
Yeah.
Hey!
Coach Lynn, is that 3 state titles for you now?
Yes,
For your Roswell?
For us.
There you go, for us, there you go.
Are you guys done with this?
Yep.
Okay, I don't think we're gonna stick around and listen to
I don't blame you.
One thing I want to let y'all know, if y'all don't know, Coach Jesse Boggs, where you at, Coach? He left. Well, anyways, there he is. I got to watch this young man wrestle in high school, and if y'all don't know, Jesse Boggs is a 3-time state champion in wrestling.
If you want to run for the council, we can get you a councilor seat and you can be my bodyguard.
He needs one.
I was gonna make a comment about that, but I'll pass. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you all. Okay, the next thing we have to go back to item 19. Go back to item 19, we hold it from the consent agenda. Okay.
Thanks, Julian.
I love the internet.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So next we have item 19, Councilman Corn. We have, for a motion, we'll have to have Councilor Hildebrand to make the motion, I believe. Okay. Or is that right? It's,
No, we don't do it. You can go right to it.
okay, Councilman Corn.
All right, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, under item 19, page 147, you've got copies on your desk of amendments that need to be done. This is that last minute amendment that we did dealing with flood, and I worked with city clerk's office, finance staff, or part of the finance team to get this right most of the afternoon. But we finally got all the numbers correct, and they're what you see in front of you. We also included a little, some bullet points there on the bottom part, so you could tie it back to what needed to be done, and I moved the amendment.
There was a motion by Councilman Corn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hildebrand. Is there any discussion on the, well, first, I guess we probably need to amend it.
I moved
We
the
moved the amendment, so, is there any discussion on the amendment? If the clerk would like to call the roll or voice vote on it? All those in favor of voting for amendment to item 19, which is now 21, as given to us on our desks. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had a question, because I'm not sure.
Oh, well, excuse me. Hold yourself on the vote.
I'm sorry, I was
Go ahead.
looking the other
Well,
way.
yeah.
So this is taking place of just one paragraph right here, correct? It says should be read in its entirety. So that's for us just to read, it's supposed to be read into the record.
Yeah, it starts, Mr. Mayor, Counselor, it starts with the motion on page 147. Strike all of that stuff, insert this, the amended motion, strike all of that, and insert what's in front.
So this actually happened at the meeting, this piece right here.
Yes,
Okay.
but the minutes did not
They left
properly reflect what was really done. There's no changes except to get these amendments to track with what we did.
to match what you actually did.
Yeah.
Thank
Does
you.
that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, are there any further questions? Sorry. Seeing none, if the clerk, what do you want? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, it will be a unanimous decision to adopt amendment to item, what is 19, now 21A, will be amended. Is there any further discussion on this motion, on this item 21?
Move the minutes
Okay.
as amended.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Corn moves to do pass as amended. Second by Council Lady Halverson. If the clerk will call the roll.
We can do a voice vote.
You can do a voice vote, it's all right? Well, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By a vote of 8 in affirmative, none in the negative, item 21 is duly passed. Next, I think we go back to 22. Public hearing for, oh, excuse me, public participation. Sorry, Julius, we're on public anyway, participation. You're on for item 22, which is the next item up anyway, but if you would like to come and state your feelings before the council, and you have to give your name and address and your opinion.
Julia Smith, 310 West Mescalero Road. Thank you so much. And before I get started, the esprit de corps was definitely what was needed for the community here with the football, so I was very grateful that happened. I had some concerns and some questions about the animal control and for that ordinance, and I personally would like to make amendments with the rabbit breeding and certain things. I remember when this kind of went down nationally because it was in the news, people had bears in their yards. I don't think y'all are certainly dealing with that issue. People had mountain lions on the greenbelt, the walking tracks and those things. But we're 2 hours away from a lot of those types of activities in this region. And I think a lot of animal control was put on that, like the city council item line because having bears and mountain lions triggered the unsafe. It was just unsafe. I don't think it's quite unsafe to have rabbits or chickens or any of those items. I would like to review some of the breeding guidelines with our chair, with Ms. Halverson, and revise that. So as well as with the quail, and maybe introducing special use permits for certain individuals who you can monitor. I think the more appropriate term would be to monitor the husbandry of the animals if it's not something unsafe like a dog. But if you're just worried about raccoons and foxes getting chickens in people's yards, I don't think that's something to. I don't think it's necessarily an unsafe thing where you're telling the community they can't have them. just because they live within city limits. And so I'm gonna ask that we work together through this, and that we create conceptual framework moving forward. That's it.
Is that all?
That's it.
Okay. Councilman Howard, you
No, yeah, I'll meet with him, but, as we discussed in the public safety meeting, there was a reason, you know, because Roswell has a problem with responsible families. And we don't want to increase the amount of animals that people have. That's why people live in the county, and we talked about that too. So we'll discuss this further, but, yeah, I just don't want to create any means for people to be more irresponsible.
If I may, I agree, ma'am, that we do need certain social constructs, and I do want to, I like that you're requiring us to be socially responsible. I think there's a better way to build capacity between banning them within city limits or saying they can't breed, because people breed dogs, people breed rabbits, people breed, I mean, it's just something that you grow up doing when you're in kindergarten. It helps mental health, it helps with the Adamic nature. There's a lot of mindfulness. That's something that we did, I remember, because my dad has a counseling business. I've seen lots of stuff, I grew up with it, and I just think it helps, so.
But on that point, and correct me if I'm wrong, Counselor, but there's no breeding allowed in the city limits.
There's not
Any
supposed to
animal.
be, but they're doing, I
Oh, I
mean,
know, yeah, and that's why the animal control is supposed to be going after deciding them, because and they're working on that. It's a work in progress, but there is no breeding for any animals in the city limit without a permit, and there's not one permit issued in this city. Is that correct, Mr. Matthews?
that is,
Yeah.
I looked.
So if you want to bring the rabbits that they was discussing, he could just come get a special
Not yet.
permit, or no?
We don't have that.
On that.
There's not supposed to be any breeding, however, people breed. And so, but I remember when the animal control, when it became a thing, and it's only been within recent years that people aren't allowed to breed. So that's my point, is I think it's undermining, we'll talk, but it's undermining our rules and people aren't listening to them.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, back on ordinance 23-24-22. Is any further questions? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2422 to hold a public hearing to consider adopting proposed ordinance 2422 and ordinance amending chapter 4 of the Roswell City Code. Do you want to go over any of that?
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Councilman Corn, second. Mr. Eintema.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, good evening. I'm not going to speak too much on this. This has been at the Public Safety Committee 5 months and at Legal Committee 1 month. I'm mostly here to answer any questions and note that there is one typo that I've already cleared with the clerk. In the fine section, it reads 25, it should read 250. On subsection Charlie 3, there's no need to amend it because that's what was actually sent from legal, so that will be corrected before signing. Or sorry, 3 Bravo. But otherwise, that's 186 of your document is, I'm using the red line when I talk about, so you can see what the changes are. But I'm really here to answer any questions. Like I said, this has been discussed for 6 months now. I know everybody in the room right now was on a committee that's dealt with it already.
Okay. Councilor Lady Halverson.
I just want to thank Abby Hess for all her hard work on the tethering of the animals, because without their help, this would not have been brought forward. So, and I do hope that the public realizes that the fees are going to be higher. So hopefully they stop breeding. Just make sure that animals are vaccinated and microchipped, because it's going to get expensive if they don't take care of their animals.
Any further comments? Okay. Seeing None, then, on a motion by Councilman Halverson, second by Councilman Corn, ordinance 24-22, to hold a public hearing for proposing ordinance 24-22, and amending chapter 4 of the Roswell City Code. So, if the clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Halverson?
Yes.
Counselor Marujo?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Counselor Hildenbrand?
Aye.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Counselor Cavan?
Yes.
Counselor Oropesa?
Yes.
Counselor Corn?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay. So. Okay. So next we go, item 23, 24.
We're done.
Okay, item 24. This, we have item 24. This is ordinance 24-23, authorized and advertised to hold a public hearing on proposed ordinance 24-23 for emergency loan funding for the New Mexico Environment Department for sewer repairs as required by the historical flooding disaster in October of 2024. Councilman Corn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we approve advertisement for ordinance 24-23 for emergency loan funding for the New Mexico Environmental Department for sewer repairs required after the flood.
Second.
Second, on a motion by Councilman Corn, second by Councilman Cavan. Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Corn.
I'm going to try something kind of new to some people sitting at this DS. I'm going to propose that we do a city council substitute for the document that's laying on your desk. And Mr. McCormack and I visited about this afternoon, and I'm going to let him go into detail about it. I was going to amend it, by line, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different whereases or preamble that would have to be done, and section 6 has all changed to following language. And so it was more than you could do with a more ordinary workout the way we're used to doing it. Changing one word or a couple of phrases is easy, but I'm going to propose that we make the substitute the next order of business.
So Councilman Corn has asked that we substitute this committee sub, I guess, or yes, council sub for ordinance number 24-23. And I believe he's explained it sufficiently. Does any council have any questions of how and why he is substituting this and what the difference is? I don't think there's any needs to change any intent. Mr. McCormick, would you like to explain why you and Councilman Corn got together to fix his mistake?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, councilors, the reason for the substitution, the original version that was included in your packet specified that the entire amount of funding from the New Mexico Environment Department would be principal loan forgiveness. However, the New Mexico Environment Department's intent from the beginning was that they would receive 75% of the funding reimbursed to them from our FEMA reimbursement. That's always been their intent. However, the document, the original document did not specify that to be the case. And when New Mexico Environment Department had conversations with federal EPA and FEMA, at the federal level, they gave direction to New Mexico Environment Department that the document needed to be revised to reflect that actual process that they intended. So the revised document, the amount of the funding is unchanged, still $1,040,000. It now specifies 25% is principal forgiveness, 75% is a loan, and the document does spell out that the intent is that that loan would be repaid via FEMA reimbursement to the city that would then be reimbursed to the Mexico Environment Department. New Mexico Environment Department has said multiple times, verbally and in writing, that they don't want this to have any impact to the city budget. And the revised document does state that the New Mexico Environment Department, CWSRF, agrees that if funding from FEMA is not awarded, the principal amount will be amended to principal forgiveness. So they're saying even if something goes haywire with our FEMA reimbursements, they're willing to write off the entire amount for us.
And so this is basically changing it towards technically in everybody's favor. There's no changes in substance other than the fact that it's all going to be a wash, and this is the best way, the way the state wants to do it, and where everybody's in tune with working with this. So any further questions?
I need to second it,
Yeah. Yes.
I second the motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Corn and second by Councilman Johnson.
We already had it.
So Kevin?
Kevin did do that, but did we just change?
Okay.
You have to vote on the changes that you just made.
No.
Can we just substitute the bill? The motion would be to substitute the hand-delivered copy for the other. That's what this motion would be.
Can you get another zero put on there?
If I could, I would.
Any further comments? So this is just, we're substituting this bill for the bill that we already had on the floor, our ordinance.
I think, Mr. Mayor, what we need to do is vote for the committee side, and then we can vote on
Well, it's
the
a council sub, it's not a committee
council
sub.
side. Yes, sir.
So that's what we will be doing.
Okay.
When we do that, we will be adopting it.
No, I think you need two separate votes.
You want, okay. Okay, seeing no discussion, we will vote to adopt the council sub for ordinance number 24-23. And a motion by Councilman Corn, seconded by Councilman Cabot. If the clerk would call the roll. What? Where are you confused? They want to substitute, he wants to do this, and then we are substituting this bill, a council substitute the whole bill, our ordinance, for the ordinance we are currently discussing right now.
We're not amending it, we're just substituting it.
We're substituting, we're just taking and putting this one in that one's place.
I told you I'd surprise
I
you.
know you did.
But if my memory serves me correctly, Mr. Mayor, we need to vote on subbing the item, and then we have to vote the item.
Well, if we're gonna go that way, that's fine. As soon as you get through talking, we will vote. We had a motion and a second.
For the subs.
Yeah, for the sub. So if you would, on a motion by Councilman Corn, seconded by Councilman Johnson, to substitute, council substitute ordinance number 24-23 for the council ordinance number 24-23 in our book. If the clerk could call the roll.
Counselor Cabin was the second, not Counselor Johnson, is that correct?
No.
No.
Mr. Johnson was the second on the.
Okay,
on the
I'm
sub.
with you
On
now.
on the sub, it was Councilor Johnson.
Yellow submarine.
Okay, Counselor Halverson,
Yes.
Counselor Marujo,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
Yes.
Counselor Hildebrand,
Aye.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cavan,
I guess.
Counselor Oropesa,
Yes.
Counselor Corn.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Yeah, 8-0. Okay, now, can you just hold on just a minute? We're already right here now. Okay, so now, we are on the council substituted bill, and it has replaced the council book in the bill, and that council book in the bill book is what we are, but now it looks like this. So on a motion by Councilman Corn, seconded by Councilor Cavan, we would move to pass or to vote on ordinance 24-23
Advertisement, Mr. Mayor.
for advertisement, okay. So, is there any discussion? You know, that's why there's a Senate in the House. Bob was in the House, anyway. Okay, if the clerk could call the roll.
Okay, Counselor Halverson,
Yes.
Counselor Marujo,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
Yes.
Counselor Hildebrand,
Aye.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cavan,
Yes.
Counselor Oropesa,
Yes.
Counselor Corn.
Yes.
Man,
Motion passes 8-0.
you know,
Thank you.
thank you. And Mr. McCormick, I would like to thank you for the work you're doing on behalf of the city during all these trying times. It's been one meeting after another, but you know, they finally got the hot mix plan up, and it looks like we're getting a lot of bridges and things open now, which really is, we're really blessed.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, seeing that there is no other items, Mr. Chad Cole, city manager, would you care to make any comments about anything except for the dough that was, excuse me.
Yes, sir, Mayor Jennings, members of the council, thank you so much. I'll be brief. This has been an excellent night, recognizing our Roswell Coyotes. I didn't get to see the game personally, but my brother-in-law gave me the text play-by-play on the way back from Texas, and what a fantastic game. Very exciting. Just real quick, we had our request, FEMA scoping request meeting today. That kicks off the timeline on the next 60 days in order for the city to get its public assistance request into FEMA. I will tell you that in speaking to Ruidoso City Manager Ron Senna early on with this flood, I asked him a question. Ron, what is the one piece of advice you can give me right now that I really need to be thinking about? And he said, Chad, if you could get a consultant that is well-versed with FEMA and familiar with their processes, they will be worth your weight in gold. And the sooner you do that, the better off you'll be. So we do have a consultant that is very well-versed with FEMA. They're forensic accountants. They're here with us tonight. Jeb and Deb are in the back there. And we did have that scoping meeting. Again, that starts the clock on our 60 days to get it submitted. So I'm thrilled that they're here with us, and we're already starting to see the benefit of that through their knowledge at the strategic level in making sure that we're maximizing the funds to recover Roswell. And with that, any questions?
Okay, Councilman Hildebrand.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. I appreciate, everything the staff has done during this whole disaster that we've had. And everybody's working hard, and I'm sure that you convey that to all of the city employees. But I do have a couple of questions outside of that scope.
Yes, sir.
One, I asked you the other day, but I want to double check. Are the forms being placed in one? Because I'm getting emails from constituents concerning the water billing.
Okay.
Are those forms now being sent out to people?
My understanding, yes. I had a conversation, I believe, last week with our water billing supervisor, and those are going out in the billings, yes, sir.
Yeah, I got mine today.
You got yours, yeah. I got my last bill, and people are calmed down about water rates right now. Now they're concerned about when am I gonna get my credit on my bill. Number two is, where are we hearing from the special audit and our regular audit?
Special audit and regular audit. So before we came into this meeting, I was on the phone with our regular auditor, Chris Gardner. They are still working through some issues. My understanding is he's had some staff that were out, and we are working back and forth with Tony to get some information and some requested information. On the special audit, we need to get our response to findings. There are going to be a lot of those findings from 2 years ago, essentially. I think it was a count of 27 potential findings. Several of those findings, myself, the city attorney, don't agree with, and we are pushing back on those findings. But quite frankly, we've been focused primarily on the FEMA and recovery efforts in recent days. But we will be continuing to push back on a few of those findings that we don't think are actually our findings, and submitting that report.
These are findings that are outside the scope of our normal audit that
Yes, sir.
discussing. And what are the ramifications if we don't do anything, we just let them print and let it go on? I mean,
I'm not,
why do we want to push back? I mean, there are no penalties, are there?
There's not necessarily penalties, but certainly when you've got that many findings, it affects your bond rating, or it can. I should say it can affect your bond rating. It can affect your ability to get grants. It can affect your ability to get financing and your risk profile in terms of interest rates. It can also, as we saw this past year, affect your capital outlay funding through DFA.
The special audit does override whatever our normal audit is, because these findings have never been put in our regular audit. And so these are special audit will override their normal audit?
I wouldn't classify it as override. It's will likely be a part of our regular audit report. There's been some debate with the state auditor's office. That's another conversation we need to have and follow up with the state auditor's office. Will these findings be in a separate report, which is what the city would like?
Yeah.
Or will they be contained within our regular audit report? And that was part of the conversation with Chris Gardner tonight and yesterday. And there's been some back and forth on that, so I'd like to follow up with the state auditors. I'd like to see a separate report for the special
I'm
audit.
with you, because it's a different time period.
It is.
And we're dealing with a current time period with our current audit report. And I don't know how you can, the state auditor can say that's got to be a part of your current audit report, because it doesn't match up to any of the financial presentations that are in that report.
Yes, sir. I agree.
And so can we have a dialogue with the state auditor, or they say, come on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, the auditor's position right now is that because they're audit findings, they still have to be responded to. The ones in particular Chad and I are pushing back against have already been in previous audits that we self-reported and addressed. So we think that's a redundancy we don't need to readdress. So my proposal to them has been, if it needs to be in the same report for their purposes, that's fine, but it needs to be a two-part report.
Right.
Right. Because it doesn't match, like I say, it doesn't match up with the financial findings of the current audit report.
Yes.
No. Are we dealing with Harvey and Associates, or are we dealing with the state auditor on this?
Both.
Tell her to stop the clock and get it done.
Yes, sir.
We have spent a tremendous amount of money on this special audit that's gone on way too long, and it needs to stop. And I don't know how we dealt to stop with Santa Fe. at least tell us some.
Yes, sir.
So I
And
appreciate
I'll
it.
reach out to, or I'll attempt to reach out to the state auditor's office tomorrow as well on this very subject. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we know it, we'll have another election, there'll be a new state auditor, and then before this report's done.
Yes, sir. And I guess I should brief the council, it will be time for us to go back out for auditors, a search for a new auditor RFP process. So we have already started the process. Elizabeth Mill, one of our new accountants in the office, has gone out and done some research on the approved auditors contracting list. We will have to do our audit contracts are a little bit different than most contracts. You have to work with the state auditor's office, and that essentially goes through their online contracting process to make sure everything's done right. So those things will be coming up pretty quick as well.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
And if Elizabeth Knopf sounds familiar, her daddy was an auditor here, was a CPA and accountant. I think he was even on the council, if I
Yes,
recall.
he was.
You know, so that, as long as we're going 70 years back with the coach, we can go ahead and go up that far back. In the back, you have Deborah Gallagher and our partner over here, they're from Disaster Recovery Services. And today in our FEMA, we were there for 3.5 hours or something in committee going through all the FEMA stuff. I'm gonna tell you, we've got some pros. They know and understand it. They talk that jargon where you use nothing but letters and, you know, and number 404 and we're number 4863 or whatever it is, and 4843. That's our disaster number because wouldn't dare put somebody's name on it. And, you know, but I'm gonna tell you, when you listen to them, they know exactly what they're doing. And it is my hope that we can maybe get county to maybe join together, and that way maybe we can all get this whole disaster under one roof, so we can all see where we go here. And in doing that, I mean, Dexter and Hagerman have huge problems, and they don't have the money or the wherewithal to go through and look at all this too. So there's a lot of issues there, but I think together, if we all go this together, I think all the city councils and county commissions, I think we all agree that it's best to do this together so no one's left out. We take care of our friends and neighbors just like we hope they'll take care of us, and they really have in this. We've had a lot of people share, you know, on making things better. So, and they're in the back over there in the corner, and the last year, I guess they thought we were gonna pass the plate. But anyway.
I should say they've been camping out with us most of this week in Janie's old office, and so they're working directly with the staff and bringing all these things together. And like I said, we're looking at FEMA, we're looking at insurance recovery, we're looking at potential legislative, trying to fill all the gaps, and it sure helps to have some experts that understand all of this stuff, to look at it at the strategic level and make sure we're not making a big mistake on the front end. Yes, sir.
Okay, anyone else care to say anything? Okay, remind anybody you know to apply, appeal. Okay? That's the only way this is gonna work. So that's what we have to do. FEMA's they'll have people here all the time. Being the holidays, there are some that might be stretched a little, but there will be somebody here, there will be a skeleton crew here to talk to anyone who needs any issues. So we just have to get with them, and they'll be here to work. So, all right, that's all. My first, yeah, it is almost Merry Christmas, but we'll get there. It's on a Wednesday, but you know, so now everybody can go tell every county commissioner that I would be a good county commission chairman.
Do that tomorrow.
Well, don't worry about it, I'm gonna go ahead and ring the gavel. Thank you. You know, you're lucky, I didn't do any Luigi jokes.